It's a terrible mistake to think that you're going to bring Jesus into the downtown east side, because Jesus was here far before I was born and will be here into the eternity after I'm dead.
And I think many people have distorted views of the downtown east side, of how bad it is, or how good it is, or how good it isn't.
And I think many people who live in the downtown east side and have insecure housing are also the presence of Christ when they are loving and kind to one another, look out for one another. And there's more of that goes on than we on the outside imagine. You know, you can tell I'm really very grateful to be doing this kind of work. I find it immensely fulfilling, and to work with Father Matthew in this way and in this location, in the church, in this neighborhood, with all the various people.
And I believe very much that this was one of the safest places in the Lower Mainland. If you're just down here walking through, if you're down here to make trouble, or if you're down here to do things that could get you into trouble, it can be a little more dangerous. If the alley has nobody in it, you shouldn't walk that alley. But if the alley has lots of people in it, that's a safe alley to go through.
Inside the chapel, you can hear the sirens, the ambulances, the inhalators, the fire engines, the police cars roar by down Cordova Street. But inside the chapel, at the same time, it's always a sense of stillness, quiet, and being surrounded by prayer. And as I came to understand that, I carried that sense of quiet in the middle of turmoil out with me into my work, into the community, into the bigger world. The most important thing, if you're going to understand the men and women here, is to shut up and listen. So many people have said that to me, and have said that in a loving way. I've been asked why I work so hard in the community, and I think the best answer that I have is that if you believe that the person who's curled up in the doorway down the street is the living Christ, you want to go and meet that person.
A lot of the people here have had Christian backgrounds, but their lives right now need a greater involvement with the gospel and with the church and with organized religion. And they need help and direction in finding the grace of God.
Next block over.
Oh, that big at the end of the block?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yes, you're welcome there anytime.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's your name?
My name's Father Matthew. What's your name?
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline, nice to meet you. They're doing a little film about me, so...
Really?
Yeah, so there you go. There's the Mass times. So see that corner there?
Yeah.
We're the next corner down. And Jacqueline, you're always welcome. We don't have to be an Anglican. Anyone's welcome.
Yeah, I know.
It's a house of prayer.
Cool.
All right,
God
sister.
bless.
Yeah, take care, eh?
Thank you.
It's so obvious. When I first came to St. James, walking through the neighborhood, I was so struck by the number of people who wear rosaries. And you won't find that in other parts of the city. And it's obvious they're not wearing them for decoration or personal adornment. That there is a underlying desire to seek God's affection.
There's something very authentic about the downtown east side. And that part of being from the downtown east side is something that I value quite high. I want to be authentic. yeah, my last comment would be that it has given me an amazing life. And I actually believe that it is a place that if you come wanting to receive, that you will receive some good things.
Trauma in this community has led people into addiction, into lifelong terror. Many people, even after I've housed them and they have a lock on their door, will sleep the rest of their lives with the lights on. I can walk through the community and see the lights on in the rooms of the SROs because they can't sleep in the dark.
We talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, but really it's a post-traumatic stress response, and the response is normal. So I think trauma is very common, and it's often in the background of addiction. People are deeply injured by violence perhaps in their lives. They've been victims of violence, or they've witnessed violence, which can be equally traumatizing, or in some cases it could be even argued more traumatizing. There's another level of helplessness to it. You'd wish to help someone else, like a sibling, who's being violated, or and you can't help. And there's a huge relief in naming the reactions that sometimes overwhelm people. In Christianity, we can't look away from suffering because the center of our faith is Christ on the cross and suffering, abandonment. So to see Christ in people here in the neighborhood is also to see Christ being abandoned, asking, my God, why have you forsaken me?
I companion people who have trauma, but I also have my own trauma. For most of my life, I've only had butterflies when I'm going to go up to the baseball plate and hit, or if I was going to do a speak or something, I'd get butterflies. I live with butterflies pretty much all the time now, and part of it is trying to figure out what part of holding these deaths that I have to facilitate over, and what part of holding people's grief, because when I come to do a memorial, even at the smallest ones, which may be 3, 4, or 5 people, they're in grief, and they're wanting to somehow figure out how to live with this. So it's like the old story of the airplane. When you get on the airplane, they always say, put your air mask on first. And then if you're traveling with somebody, put it on them. And part of what I'm trying to do with my trauma is to, take care of it.
I've come to really see that trauma is sort of a broad word in a certain way that can group a lot of different things together, whether it's physical or emotional or mental traumas and stuff like that. And in all the trauma research that's coming out, they're showing that it's through the somatic mind-body experiencing that is much more helpful than just talk therapy. So I guess the benefit to the trauma survivors would be that everyone is learning techniques that they could, or we could, use in our day-to-day lives. And so it might be a way, these techniques are a way to bring us to the present moment, realize, oh yeah, I'm safe, I'm here, I'm not there.
There's so much trauma down here. And this group that they're starting, one of the coordinators has just become my counselor. I've known him for over 20 years, and I'm on my 3rd visit with him, and he's just the smartest guy. He's got so many different backgrounds of studies. So to have him, and Mother Joyce, and Father Matthew doing the trauma group and offering it to people down here, the turnout's been really good. So obviously it's needed here.
I've been down here 33 years. I've seen some sad things. I've seen a lot of things that I wish I wouldn't have seen, because I'll be carrying those things for the rest of my life. But there's no other place, as far as I'm concerned, as the downtown east side.
So we started to think about what would it be to have a priest who had the very specialized gifts that it takes to go into the streets. We wanted a priest who would be willing to wear his collar so that if people had anger and resentment toward the church, they could take it out on him, and who would be willing to carry that burden.
Me and my husband were on the street. We were staying at Oppenheimer Park in 2008. And Father Matthew and Jenny came up to my husband Ted and I and started talking to us. And he said, meet me back here in 45 minutes. So we went and went to the 44, had something to eat, went back to the Oppenheimer to meet him, and he brought us a brand new tent.
I can't say enough about Father Matthew. You know, he builds relationships of trust with people. And in a culture which sometimes wants to hold up an image that's not true or not real, but make that the image that you relate to, Father Matthew is the antidote.
If it wasn't for people like Father Matthew, who would be giving some people hope? I mean, he pulled me out of a situation, and I thought that was it for me. I didn't think, no, it's changed. You know, I'm in contact with my daughter. I'm with contact with my parents. I've got employment when I need it. You know, and it's an awesome feeling. I come to church on Sundays, and people see me coming all dressed, which they never see me all dressed. It's my one day that I'll get all dressed up for, come to church. And like Father Matthew this Sunday, you know, his sermon, that was food for me. Like you can go to a restaurant to eat, but you know, when you come to church, it's food for the soul and for the heart, right?
You've heard in the and I use the Bible very rarely, but when he throws the seed across the various factions that he has rock, dirt, whatever, and the seed must grow. You must look after that seed to help it grow. And that's what Father Matthews does in the community. You know, the seeds are there. He has to go out and till the soil and look after it. Even in the rock, it still has to be looked after. And even if it gets that little bit of blessing, it still helps that seed to grow. Getting to know Father Matthew, it has worked into what I would consider a friendship. For a long time, and we both have supported each other in different ways. When my mom passed away some years ago, I came to Father Matthew and talked to him about it. When his mom passed away, he came and talked to me about it in our culture, what we would do.
I think Father Matthew goes a long way in undoing the aloneness of individuals. And one of the most beautiful sights I saw years ago, I was sitting next to Father Matthew at this regular Tuesday meeting, and he had a piece of paper that was kind of like a chart with names, it seemed, on one side. I couldn't read it accurately. And there were lots of little chicken scratches along the way, alongside. And I asked him, I said, what are those? What is this paper you've got there? And he said, oh, well, that's the names of the people I meet in the neighborhood and when I saw them last. So there's little scratch, I saw this person this week and that week, and these little scratches. And I just thought that was so beautiful to think that these people who probably feel very alone in the world, very much overlooked and rejected, they're marked down. The visit, the connection, the conversation was etched somewhere.
So tell me, how are things going?
Good.
Yeah? What's up?
Not much, the sky.
Yeah, well, we know that. Yeah.
And God.
Yeah. But you're doing pretty well, eh?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
I could be doing better, but hey, everybody can be doing better down here.
Yes, it's true. It is absolutely true, for sure. Good.
It could be a lot worse, though.
Yeah. No, do you want to wander with me? Are you okay to wander for a sec?
Yeah, I can walk with you there.
Yeah, sure.
his concern and care for the people in the neighborhood was very, very obvious. I could see even on the steps of the church, he greeted everyone and was quite interested in how they were coping with things. The downtown east side it has a lot of vulnerable people, and they're in a neighborhood where there's a lot of social disorder, and I think that they're looking for something to give structure and order, higher authority that will guide them in leading their lives into healthy directions.
Okay, my first name is Mohinder, M-O-H-I-N-D-E-R.
Yeah, Mohinder.
Yes, and my full name is Mohinder Singh Kunkun.
Yeah.
And basically I've lived in the Vancouver area for over 50 years.
Yeah? I just want to wander here.
Yeah, I came to Canada in 1965.
Right.
I was a little boy, 8 years old.
Wow.
And my family came over, most of it in 65, but my dad came 5 years before us.
Right.
Because it took 5 years for him to sponsor us to come over.
Yes.
Pastoral care is kind of beneath the surface. It doesn't get the recognition it deserves, and its importance is often unrecognized. And unlike some of the other services that are offered, pastoral care gives hope.